Today, we're diving into a really wild story about one of the biggest drug makers in the world, Eli Lilly. It's about one single day where the company had some of the best news in its history and also some of the worst. It's a perfect snapshot of the crazy, high-stakes game of modern medicine.
So let's just get right to it, because this is the mystery we're going to solve. How on earth does a company report a quarter that is, by all accounts, a massive success, only to have Wall Street just freak out and dump the stock? It seems like it makes no sense, but the answer tells you everything you need to know about where a $100 billion market is headed.
Okay, so to feel the whiplash here, you have to understand just how unbelievably good the good news actually was. Eli Lilly steps up to the plate on August 7th to announce its quarterly results, and wow, they were just spectacular.
38%. That was their revenue growth compared to the same time last year. For a giant company like Lilly, a jump like that isn't just good, it's a monster number that absolutely demolishes expectations. It's all thanks to the insane demand for their blockbuster drugs.
And to put a dollar figure on it, Wall Street was hoping for maybe $14.7 billion. Lilly didn't just squeak by that. They blew the doors off, pulling in over $15.5 billion in just 3 months.
And it wasn't some one-trick pony either. The entire report was glowing. Revenue? Beat. Earnings per share? Beat. Sales of their new weight loss drug, Zepbound? Up a staggering 172%. Their diabetes drug, Mounjaro? Up 68%. They were so confident they even raised their forecast for the entire rest of the year. This is what you call a company firing on all cylinders.
So, you're thinking party time, right? The stock should be soaring to the moon. But that is not what happened. Not even close. The market saw this masterpiece of a report and decided to focus on something else entirely. On that exact same day, Eli Lilly's stock took a nosedive, dropping as much as 14%. A double-digit plunge that vaporized billions of dollars in shareholder value. It was a total shock. So we've got record profits on one side and a collapsing stock on the other. What in the world was going on? Well, it turns out the key to this whole mystery wasn't in the numbers for the drugs that are already selling like crazy. The panic was all tied to a completely separate announcement about a brand new drug, one that investors were betting would be the next huge thing.
And this is it. The drug at the center of the storm is called orforglipron, and its secret weapon is that it's a pill. A simple, once-a-day pill. No more needles, no weekly injections. In a market totally dominated by injectables, a pill that works could be a total game changer, potentially opening up this treatment to millions of people.
Now, really quick, to get why this pill matters so much, we need to know what a GLP-1 is. Basically, these drugs copy a hormone our gut makes naturally. It's the hormone that tells our brain we're full and helps manage blood sugar. This is the science that's powering this entire weight loss drug revolution, and orforglipron is Lilly's bet on where this science goes next. So, on the same day as those amazing earnings, the company also released the results from its huge final stage clinical trial. The entire market was holding its breath. So what did the numbers actually show?
And here's the first crack in the armor. The pill, at its highest dose, helped people lose about 12% of their body weight. Now let's be clear. That is a fantastic result, super meaningful for patients. The problem? Wall Street analysts had gotten their hopes up for something even bigger, closer to 15%. So strike one was just a classic case of failing to meet super high expectations.
But you know, that weight loss number wasn't even the main reason for the panic. The real red flag for investors was hidden a little deeper in the data. It was all about the side effects, and more importantly, how many people just couldn't handle them. So if you look at this chart, you see the usual suspects. Nausea, vomiting, pretty common for these drugs. But the number that made Wall Street's stomach drop is right there at the bottom. Over 10% of people on the pill's highest dose quit the study because the side effects were too much. That's almost 4 times higher than the people taking a sugar pill, and it's also higher than the dropout rates for the injections already on the market. So the big question became, if the pill is a little less powerful and harder to take, where's the advantage? So, case closed, right? The pill is a disappointment. But this is where the story takes a fascinating turn. Because while Wall Street was selling, The company and a lot of doctors were looking at the exact same data and drawing a totally different conclusion.
You had some experts like Dr. Caroline Apovian who echoed the market's fears. Her point was, what good is a drug if people get it, get excited, and then find out they can't actually tolerate taking it every day in the real world?
But then, Eli Lilly's CEO Dave Ricks came out swinging. He basically said, whoa, hold on, we are not disappointed at all. He argued that for them, this was a success. Their goal was never to make the absolute strongest drug on the planet. The goal was to make a convenient pill that was good enough and that they could produce on a massive scale for a mass market. And he says that's exactly what they did.
And a lot of doctors were on his side. Dr. Jaime Almendoz called the results transformative. Why? Because a pill can reach that huge group of people who are just never going to be comfortable with giving themselves shots. For that population, a pill that leads to 12% weight loss isn't a disappointment. It's a breakthrough.
And this gets you right to the heart of Lilly's strategy. A pill is way easier to manufacture and ship, which could solve the supply shortages that have been a huge headache for the injectables. It might also be cheaper, which could convince insurance companies to cover it. The bottom line is, a pill could unlock a market of 170 million people who could use these drugs but aren't taking them yet.
And so, despite the one-day market drama, Lilly is hitting the gas. They are moving full steam ahead, planning to send all this data to the FDA by the end of this year. They're hoping to launch it worldwide around the middle of next year. That one-day stock drop was just noise. The long-term plan is rock solid.
And you can see why they're not backing down. Look at the money at stake. The entire market for these GLP-1 drugs is expected to be worth more than $150 billion a year. A year. Even if a pill like Delifegron and XRR only carves out a third of that, you're still talking about a $50 billion prize.
Which brings us to the final, fascinating question. On that one chaotic day in August, the market voted that power is everything. But Eli Lilly is making a massive bet that in the long run, for the millions of people who value simplicity over everything else, convenience will be king. That's the paradox. And figuring out who's right is going to define the next chapter of medicine. Thanks for joining us.